First, we can start with the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets advancing, beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thoughts and feelings on this game and on this series as a whole?
They should have swept him.
Minnesota should have won one game in this series. That 26-11 from Cat is too little, too late.
Now he won.
I disagree. Minnesota should have won more games. They got enough talent over there to win. If Rudy Gobert, what? Hold on. They should have won more games. If Karl Anthony Towns is what we supposed to say, what he's supposed to be, if Ant-Man is who we say we're supposed to be, and the list goes on, they should have won a couple games in this series. That team, you don't tell me a team that they got talent on there with Mike Conley Jr., who's a vet. You understand what I'm saying? They got Rudy Gobert, who last night he had 16 points and 17 rebounds?
15 rebounds.
Right, 15 rebounds. Pat, you what, 20, what did he get you last night? 20-something and 12?
26 and 11.
And then Ant-Man 27 and something. They should have won a couple games in this series.
Well, they should have. Only reason why they didn't is because that 26 and 11 guy, he didn't do anything the previous 4 games.
I'm with you. No. I agree with you.
Not only has he not done anything the previous 4 games, this is his MO in the playoffs. In the playoffs,
hey, my brother, Chip-Town, I got love. I agree with you. Phil, I'm just saying, if we looking at that team, they're supposed to.
From a talent standpoint, absolutely. From a talent standpoint,
supposed to win 2 games in that series.
If you look on paper, they shouldn't have got mopped. But when you look, go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead.
When you look at this team from a talent standpoint, absolutely, this series should have been more competitive. But when you see what these guys have produced, for example, Karl Anthony Towns, what he has produced in the playoffs for his career, this is indicative to what happens to this team. They go as he goes. So now we got to start looking in a different direction. Who should we be building this unit around? Should we be building this unit around him? Well, he's in year 8, and we've gotten probably everything that we're going to get out of him. And this is where we are. We haven't been out of the first round since he's been here. So he's proven that he is a number 1 on a playoff team. But that's as far as we're going to go with him. With that being said, we have this young guy who's shown flashes of being brilliant, right? And this kid, Anthony Edwards. Maybe we should start reconsidering what we're doing with this group. Because I actually like Rudy Gobert as a 5-man, as a rim protector, as a rebounder. I'm not sure about this second guy, Karl Anthony Towns. I'm thinking that we might need to move. It might be a good idea for us to move on from him because we've seen everything that we're going to see. Is it realistic to think that this is going to change if his role changes? Well, if his role changes, what is he now going to be? Is he going to be a second guy? And as a second guy, how much different is his game going to be? We've seen who he is in the playoffs. And he now is playing with a guy who can possibly take some of that pressure off of him. But with that guy taking pressure off of him, we still see what his game is. So even as a number 2 or as a number 3, we still see what his game is. So is it realistic to think, is it unrealistic for me to think that maybe we should move in another direction?
They should. Cat and Rudy wasn't. I thought they were going to work, but then watching them, it wasn't going to work. And then you just move Cat in that situation, build around Ant, Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, because that's the makings of a really good defensive team right there. You see what Mike Conley can do next year because he is getting older. Maybe you try and pursue some sort of point guard. But I think the makings of a good team is there without Cat, depending on what you can get back for him in a trade. But I don't know who really wants Cat at this point.
So, as I said at the beginning of the season, Jay, you can keep me honest. Minnesota's not going to work. I don't care how talented they look on paper. It's not a good team. They're not going to do well. I'm actually surprised where they seeded, where I thought they'd be out. I didn't even think they'd make it out of the play-in. So the fact that they won one game is a surprise. They shouldn't have won one game. They're significantly outmatched. That team is not good. But then what makes you think Minnesota as a franchise, as an ownership group, when have they been good for a long period of time? They're just not. They're a poorly run franchise for the most part. So I'm not surprised that they stink. That's just who they are. And that's why I keep telling you guys, look at history. It tells you about the future. So I'm not surprised. I am surprised they won a game. I am. I thought they'd fold after they went down 2-0. Good for Ant, who said I can't get swept. Congratulations, Ant, because I like him as a player. You didn't get swept. Congratulations.
I just look at that crew, man. Without Jaden McDaniels, without Naz Reid, I think that it would have been a more competitive series because a lot of the stuff that they got beat on was the dirty work stuff. So Joker, 17 rebounds. Now, if Nas Reed is in there, if Jaden McDaniels is in there, plus Rudy, maybe we alleviate some of that, right? Because Cat's not going to fight. Cat's not going to help Rudy fight. We already saw what that is, right? So if you got your dirty work guys like Jaden McDaniels, maybe we alleviate some of that perimeter offense that they had. Maybe we slow down Jamal Murray a little bit more than what he was already than how he was already going. Maybe we do some of those things. But because they didn't have them, now that puts more pressure on the other perimeter players to step up. And also, they also lost Slow-Mo, so he was out of the lineup too.
Right.
They lost Slow-Mo too. So with him being out of the lineup, these are guys that are really important in order for them to move on. Well, because they don't have these guys, Denver is, I think, to be honest with you, I think Denver is the most complete team in the Western Conference. So with that being said, I'm not surprised that they handled Minnesota the way they did, but Minnesota moving forward, they kind of stuck with this team, guys. They are. I mean, they don't have any draft picks because they gave all the draft picks to Utah. And the money that they have, I mean, they got money tied up in Nas Reed. They got money tied up in Rudy Gobert. They got to still pay Ant because he's still on his Rook deal. So they got to figure out some things in Minnesota. So they might be stuck with this unit.
They'll get some picks back for Cat.
This is my
That's
question.
what I was thinking, Bob.
They'll definitely get some picks back for Cat.
Yeah.
Somebody wants Cat. Cat has a value still. A lot of people.
But let me ask you,
they want him still.
ask you, Bob. So you say he'll get value for Cat based on the trade they made. Based on the trade they made to get Gobert, do you trust? If this was your team, if you were a Wolves fan, if you were a T-Wolves fan, would you trust them that they'd make a good trade based on what they just did this offseason?
Man, I honestly, well, with that being said,
I wasn't.
Wait. I wasn't. If the only problem that I have with that Rudy Gobert trade is that I didn't know Walker Kessler was going to be as good of a rim protector down there as he was. The reason I'm not mad at the trade is because I'm okay with seeing if the Twin Tower experiment works. If the Twin Tower experiment doesn't work, then we move on Cat. So I'm thinking they saw that already coming. Like, we'll give it a chance. It's a win-win situation. If we don't make it work, then we'll move Cat and we'll get all those picks back and maybe another young player.
No,
Bob, I respectfully.
No one's going to give you all those picks back for Cat.
Well, not all of them, but they'll get something in return. They'll get something in return. Cat,
Bob,
I believe Cat still has a big value.
Hey, Bob, I respectfully disagree with what you just said. I'm going to tell you why. I think Minnesota was better before the trade. And the reason why is because I like what Vanderbilt brought to that team, the aspect of what he bought defensively and able to crash the boards. And what he bought. I like what Pat Beverly brought to that team. I thought that team was building, and I thought that they had good chemistry. I thought that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I thought they should have ran it back this year with the same team they had last year. And I thought this year's team would have had way more chemistry. They've been through something together. But then when you package all the guys that they sent away, I think it kind of hurt the identity of their team. And they struggled to find a real identity when they actually found one last year. And I thought Pat Bev was perfect for that team, for the tenacity. And then they could have used Pat Bev in a series against the Denver Nuggets with a guy like Jamal Murray and those guys like that. It could have used Vanderbilt in that series with the way he's able to roam and change on defenders and things like that. So I really do like it. The only thing I do see is that, Cat would have probably been in foul trouble guarding Jokic in the post during that series. But, like Chilltown said, at what point we're going to see Cat step his game up and take his game to another level and make dudes pay for it. So I just think they overpaid for Rudy Gobert. And it hurt I think that it killed their who they were as a team. I think they couldn't find themselves.
Now, in fairness, Tone, and I appreciate your logic about the draft picks and the Twin Towers not working. Now, just so you know, we're, I think, 2 weeks before the season ends, and they're a half game out the 5 spot. So them giving up those draft picks, they're looking at those draft picks like those are going to be late first-round picks. We really don't need those. We're getting Rudy Gobert to get tougher in the paint. We're getting Rudy Gobert to be a better rim protecting team and a better rebounding team. And we're going to be better. So those draft picks aren't going to mean that much to us, as opposed to if we don't make the playoffs and we end up in the lottery. So now we got to give those draft picks up. That's not the way they were looking at it. They were looking at it like we're going to be a good team because Rudy's going to be the difference in what we didn't have last year. And that's why those draft picks, late first round picks, aren't going to be that big of a deal.
Here's the thing, though. When you say stuff like they were however many games out of the 5th seed, let's also put some context there. This was a very bad year. They were 42-40. They were one win away. They're a 500 team essentially for this season. Yes, there's injuries and other things, but they're a 500 team. So yes, in this down year in the West, they were whatever games out of 5th. They're still a 500 team. That's not where you want to be, right? You want to be better than a 500 team.
Sure.
So
now, with that being said, too, Tone, we gotta also put some more context on that their second best offensive player. He missed 50 games, so I mean that does matter. So I think that
where did you have them finishing?
I had them as a top 5 seed in the West.
So,
I did, and they were right. They were right around there.
Yeah.
They were right around there. Cat got hurt. I mean, you talking about the last two. I think the last 2 weeks of the season, they're like a half game out the 5 spot. So I'm thinking they could still be a top 5 seed, even with Cat missing 50 games, right? So now we get this crew back next year. Tone, we're in year 8 with Cat, right? So I think that the best of him, I want to say that we've seen it, but what I also can't say, what I don't want to do is I don't want to overvalue him. I don't want to go, okay, well, there's another level with him. Is it?
No, he's not. There's no more. That's it.
Because
you keep telling me we know who you are by year 5.
By year 5, this is what you should expect from this guy moving forward. You're going to have some better seasons, but this is probably who this guy is, right? So when I look at Cat, I'm thinking to myself, I think that we've seen everything that we're going to see from him. Now, moving forward, can I get a playoff run out of him? Or maybe 2 playoff runs out of him, possibly, where he looks great. But for the most part, I'm probably not going to get that.
So Bob, you said they're going to get some of those first round picks back, right? So
yeah, I would assume so.
Give me an example. Where's a team? Because Cat can't be your number 1. We all agree on that, correct? He can't be your.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he's going to be that third option. I'm assuming I'm safe in saying third option, right? Because even if he's your second option, we know you're going to be a 500 team. So third option Cat. Where is he going? That's a third option that can give up that much draft capital, that the picks will be worth it because where give me a couple of landing spots for Cat.
All right, so I'm gonna put a few out there, and you let me know if they work. I'm not too hip to all what everybody's making exactly. Maybe they could work something out with New Orleans, Golden State. New Orleans, Golden State, maybe OKC.
Mars likes Golden State. Why do you like Golden State so much?
If Golden State want Cat, go for it. But.
Well, I'm just saying New Orleans, Golden State, OKC, Houston, maybe.
No, Mars don't want nothing to do with that.
I know you don't like, but I think Houston with those young boys, and then with Ime Udoka
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so let's go through it. So Golden State would make sense because if he's the 4th option behind,
what would they have to give up? What would Golden State have to give up?
What are they giving up that? And are you taking those draft picks? Like, because Golden State's going to be the draft picks aren't going to be high,
right?
Okay,
you're giving up Draymond.
You're giving up Dre. Yeah, is Minnesota taking Dre?
Mm-hmm. I'm saying you're giving up Draymond. Jordan Poole. I'm saying you're giving up Draymond, Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole.
That's like 60 million.
Does that make sense?
No, but I'm saying no. But you package up. You're gonna package the player with it.
Mars, we know some of the money because we're leaving the money out for a second.
I think Minnesota. I think Minnesota would have to take the young fella that they just got, Patrick Baldwin.
Okay. So the other one,
I think they would have to take him and Kuminga or something like.
Okay.
I'm not just taking Draymond Green. No.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No, not for Cat. No, we're not doing that.
So the Golden State one's tough. Right? There's a lot of money. Draft picks aren't going to be that great. That one's tough. So the other teams you said were all young. So like a Houston and OKC and New Orleans.
Cat's still young.
I know, but let me finish. If he goes to OKC or Houston, is he going to be the third option on that team, or is he going to be expected to be one?
Number
and
one.
If he's the one,
he ain't expected to be over Shea.
So OKC the number 2. He's definitely the number 2.
Okay.
I actually like, to be honest with you, I actually like him in Portland, and I think Portland would give it. I think they would give up some good stuff for him. I think they can get.
They're desperate. So
they're desperate. So they might.
I think Portland would give up something for Cat. And on top of that would appease Dame, because Dame would look at Cat like word.
Like a Cat.
At that point, Anthony Edwards has to like demand, like, okay, well, bring me Ant Simons too. Like, I need Simons with me, and we could do it.
Y'all don't like what OKC could potentially offer with Chet, picks, and maybe what you call it. and
saying,
what's the boy's name?
So
they got the pitch, Chet Pitts, and what's the
who
boy's
you like?
name?
So you got both Williams, you got Josh Giddey, you got Lou Dort, you got
Dort, the guy that came from the GM.
I think OKC. My point was, I think OKC might give a good package, but then if he goes there, he's the number 2. Is a Shea Cat. Is that more than a 500 team?
Man, they'll be a 50+ win team.
I think they'll get better. I think OKC gets better with that.
How many games they won this year? How many games they won this year? Like 42, 43?
41, I think. I think they won 41 games. And they got like 25 first-round draft picks. How about you hand over about 12 of those?
All the picks. I would look if I'm Minnesota, like y'all can have Cat for just give me a bunch of draft picks in any one of these young boys and we can run it. Like, get him out of here.
I like him in Portland because I think it appeases Dame, to be honest with you. I think Dame looks at Cat as a viable piece. Cat doesn't have to worry about it's a similar situation to what's going on in Minnesota, where he's playing with a lead guard like he's playing with Anthony Edwards, only except Dame could now look for Cat to be more of a safety net for him as opposed to him being the lead dog.
But chill, is that a winning team though?
Does Dame need at this point?
Does Dame need
appeasing? You said it'll appease Dame. Does he need that at this point?
I don't think he wants. To be honest with you, I don't think he wants to leave Portland. But I think that because of all the chatter, I think that the public is running him out of there, and not in a bad way. Almost in a there's no reason why right? There's no reason why you should still be here. Not because you suck, but because you can do better than this.
You've given enough to Portland. Go
right. You can do better than this. And for them to get Cat, I think that appeases him, and I think that quiets the noise around him.
Okay. I just saw a story like that about Pierce Bronson. You guys remember Pierce Bronson on 007? His wife got very, and everyone's saying you can do better. So I understand. Right. Yeah.
I can see Cat coming to Portland being more of like, just like you said, Portland's way of appeasing Dame. I don't think they win. I think it makes a little more excitement in the crowds. You know what I'm saying? Right. But that's just gonna be Dame and Cat out there shooting 16 threes. They just gonna be out there just trading 3 for 3. Here, you shoot it.
What's Portland trying to do? Is Portland trying to win, or are they trying to appease Dame?
Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all.
If I'm Portland, I'm trading Dame instead of bringing something to him.
I'm gonna tell y'all a team y'all didn't stay, and I know Ron gonna love this. The Atlanta Hawks.
I really don't love that.
And that's just trend. That's just
trend. No. The reason why I'm saying this is this. Well, you like Trae Young, but the reason why I'm saying this is this. With Atlanta, that gets you off of. What's the force man's name they've been trying to trade?
I do love him.
Collins. They get you off Collins. Mm-hmm. Also, they got other assets they can move too. But then if you put him beside Clint Capella, I like that.
That young guy.
Capella,
it's definitely an upgrade over John Collins, no doubt about it.
I like that, bro.
What's the difference between Capella and Rudy?
Capella's more Capella. To me, I just like Capella better, man.
Who's Rudy? No. You know what you like? Let's call it what it is. Ticket. Capella tougher than him. You think Rudy's soft? Can we keep it all the way 100?
Yeah.
You think Rudy's soft? You don't think Capella is soft? That's all.
He is though. I mean, he is. He's soft.
Okay.
Rudy is league COVID. Get him out of here. Like, how many threes does Trae and Cat shoot? Like, does that offense become a 50 threes a game?
No.
At least 35. At least 35 threes a game.
But Cat shoot 40 from the 3. That's the
thing.
He
does shoot 40 from the 3. He does shoot 40 from the 3.
Now, that gives you something way different than John Collins, Chilltown, because Collins can't shoot the ball like that. So now, if you're Trae Young, now that really gets defense off your ass. You playing that pick and pop, pick and roll with Cat.
And you still got the lob threat in Capella. That's a natural offense.
And you got the lob threat with Rudy too. You didn't have the distributor in Minnesota.
That's what I'm saying. You don't got that.
You did not have the minute.
We're saying Cat at the 5, right?
No,
he has to be next to Capella. You just have the same problems you have in Minnesota. It's the
same thing.
If I want Cat as a stretch 5 with a defensive.
Yes, Jared Vanderbilt. That's what you needed, Jared Vanderbilt.